Following a bye week and 2 road games, the Alabama Crimson Tide will finally return home to the friendly confines of Bryant-Denny Stadium this afternoon for an SEC West showdown against Texas A&M. Kickoff shortly after 2:30 on CBS. We're here to break it all down right now, only on Crimson Tide Kickoff. Hang on.
Crimson Tide Kickoff, presented by Alpha Insurance.
Look at the Walk of Champions in just about an hour and a half. Nick Saban will lead his team into Bryant-Denny Stadium to prepare Alabama for its 4th SEC contest. Of course, the Tide's looking to come out of this game at 3-1 in the conference and keep their hopes alive, not only for making the 4-team national championship playoff, but a chance still to get to Atlanta for the SEC championship game. And with that, we say welcome in, everybody, to Crimson Tide Kickoff, presented by Alpha Insurance. It's a beautiful, beautiful day on campus at the University of Alabama, and a nice day for the Crimson Tide to get on track against Texas A&M this afternoon. We're jam-packed as always, so let's take a look at what's coming up on the big show. We're welcoming a very special guest. The esteemed governor of the state of Alabama, Dr. Robert Bentley, will join us to talk some football and more. Plus, Milliseconds this week gives us an up-close look at Big Al's impact on Alabama game day. And Antonio Langham, the former Alabama All-American quarterback, joins the show. He'll talk DB play. And Billy Liucci from TexasAgs.com will be down here with us to break down the Aggies and what they need to do to come out of here with a win. And Hoops on the Quad with Chelsea Barton. That's a big event going on. We look forward to all of that and more. But first up, we'll begin with our Bama headlines.
For the latest on the Crimson Tide, you don't need the newspaper. You need Bama headlines.
It's been all anybody's wanted to talk about this week. Alabama's so-called sluggish win over Arkansas 14-13 in Fayetteville. It had miscues, it had mistakes, but on Monday, Nick Saban made it clear that in his mind, a win is a win, and he's getting downright tired of hearing about people being disappointed when the Tide gets the W.
You know, when Landon Collins intercepts the ball at the end of the game, I hadn't seen that much emotion out of our team for a long time. You know, everybody's got such a high expectation for what our team should be. I was just happy to see our players be happy about playing a game and winning. And it really sort of, if you want to know the truth about it, pisses me off when I talk to people that have this expectation like they're disappointed that we only won the game 14-13 and in the way we played. Really, that's frustrating. You want to talk about something that's frustrating? That's frustrating to me. For our players who play with a lot of heart in the game.
But with all due respect to the coach, the numbers this year for Alabama are not pretty in terms of self-inflicted wounds. Alabama is 11th in the SEC in penalties, 39 for 296 yards. The Tide also near the bottom in turnover margin. That's not a good combination. And last week, Alabama rushed for just 66 yards, and that's only the 11th time in Coach Saban's 100 games as Alabama's coach that the Tide has been held under 100 yards rushing. And news off the field for reserve tight end Kurt Freitag is not good. A search of his dorm room resulted in the seizing of 112 grams of marijuana and $4,661 in cash. Nick Saban said earlier this week that he's been instructed not to comment. Freitag has not seen the field in 2014. Let's check in now with other members of the CTKO team. They're standing by all over the UA campus today. First, Chelsea Barton is on the quad where a very special event is taking place, and it's just underway. Chelsea?
There you go. Hey, Gary. Yeah, I'm live out here on the quad, and all of the action is happening just behind me. Hoops on the Quad is officially underway. This event is the first of its kind here at the University of Alabama, and check out this crowd that's already gathered around the basketball court that they've set up out here on the quad. This is such a fun way to show support for both the Alabama men's and women's basketball teams. They've set up a great atmosphere out here, really. Both teams were just led onto the quad by the $1 Million Band and Big Al himself, of course. I even see some Texas A&M fans out here taking an interest in checking out Bama hoops. Now, we're going to hear from someone a little closer to the team coming up on Crimson Tide Kickoff. Plus, I'll be back with our Texas A&M Tailgaters of the Week. Gary.
Thank you, Chelsea. We'll check back with you in just a bit. Great event. Now let's head down to the Walk of Champions to get a first check on our weather forecast. For that, let's go to Chief Meteorologist Richard Scott. Richard.
Hey, Gary, another fantastic weather for home game here at Alabama, taking on Texas A&M. Can't ask for better weather. Feels more like football weather. In fact, a reinforcing shot of cool air is moving in right now. It's going to be dry today and a little breezy. Let's check out things live at the Tuscaloosa Tower camera, see what's happening over Bryant-Denny Stadium. 71 in T-Town. And notice the flags on the north end zone of the stadium there, whipping in that north breeze. That's that cooler, drier air moving in. Really going to feel great today. Temperature map, see what's happening across the board. We've got temperature still in the 60s in Birmingham and Huntsville, 65 in Tupelo. And that's that reinforcing shot of some cooler air moving south, but no rain today. On that satellite and radar composite, hey, we'll check that out, and we're looking good today. In fact, just a few mid-level and high-level clouds, but nothing to give us rain today. Check out the game day forecast. What is going to happen for Alabama kicking off Texas A&M? Temperature to that 2:30 kickoff around 77, low 70s. Wrap up things inside Bryant-Denny Stadium. So, Gary, perfect weather for some game day here in Tuscaloosa. Back over to you.
All right, thanks, Richard. It is a beautiful day. Much more coming up on Crimson Tide Kickoff presented by Alpha Insurance. Next up, we'll take a look at how well the Aggies offense has played against Bama the past couple of years. They put up some amazing numbers. Plus, we'll welcome the governor of the state of Alabama to the set to help talk some Bama football and more. Governor Bentley is standing by. Don't go anywhere. If it's Alabama football you want, it's Alabama football you get. We've got another 45 minutes or so stay with us. CTKO rolls on right after this timeout. It didn't exactly start out the way Alabama wanted it to in 2013. The Tide fell behind 14-0 in College Station to Johnny Football and the Aggies. We thought we had a replay of 2012, but Bama began rolling from there. An offensive explosion from both teams, and ultimately it was the Crimson Tide that escaped the Lone Star State with a 49-42 win. It's been that way in both games against Kevin Sumlin. Check out the numbers. Texas A&M averaging 35.5 points per game against Alabama. That's really what amazes you. 523 yards of total offense. You just don't see that kind of output against the Tide defense. In fact, last year, well over 600 yards. A&M with more offense against Alabama than any team in history. So they have, with Johnny Football, figured out a way to exploit the Bama defense, but now it's Kenny Hill's time, and we'll see what he can do later this afternoon. And now it's our time and our extreme pleasure to welcome in the first fan of Alabama football. I think we can say that. The governor of the state of Alabama, Dr. Robert Bentley.
Hey, Gary. It's good to be with you.
Of course, I know you're a fan of all the teams. We'll go ahead and say that right off the bat.
Well, I am. I am a fan of all the teams, but I'm a Crimson Tide fan.
I know you are. Hey, and speaking of that, before we talk football specifically, I was thinking when we got you a book to be on this Saturday, how you're in the middle of a campaign, how a campaign is kind of like a football season. You know, you turn the page, you can't look back, you're always moving forward, and it's kind of a marathon instead of a sprint, isn't it?
Well, yeah, you can use the same analogies. You can say, you take one day at a time,
That's
one
right.
game at a time, and you play 110%, and, you don't know where they come up with these kind of and it's a process,
We saw you out at American Christian Academy last night to watch some of the game and also see your beautiful granddaughter.
Yeah, I'm very proud.
Homecoming queen.
Very proud of my granddaughter. Yeah, all of my granddaughters. I've got some beautiful granddaughters.
All right, let's talk about this Alabama football team. Since you've been in the office, it's been a very fruitful time, let's say, for Alabama football. A couple of national championships. Last year came up a little short. This year already with one loss. Looking at this team, what have you seen from it so far, and what do you think the potential for this particular Alabama football team is?
Well, I think that the defense is developing well. I think they looked good last week. I think the offense, obviously the offensive line needs some work. But no one wants to win more than the players. Mm-hmm. And they're trying extremely hard, and they play extremely hard. We do expect perfection sometimes, and we are human beings, and these players do the best they can do. And we need to appreciate what they do and all the hard work that they put into this, and the coaches. I think they're doing well, and I think they're going to continue to develop. I think that by the end of the season, Alabama's going to be in good shape. I mean, obviously, somebody has to beat Ole Miss twice for us to make it to the national championship game if we win all the rest of our games.
You know, we showed the numbers a while ago, Governor, and Texas A&M. I know they've had good players, and they had a guy named Johnny Manziel, but they put up some amazing numbers against Alabama. What has it been about their attack that's given the Tide defense trouble, and do you think Alabama can slow them down today with Kenny Hill at quarterback instead of Johnny Football?
Well, I just think it's hard to defend that spread, quick offense that teams are running, but I think Alabama's adjusting to that, and I think they're making good progress. And I think that we'll see that today. I really do. I think we've seen it thus far already this year, and I think we're going to continue to see that. We have some great players, some great athletes, and we have some fast athletes. And the defensive backs are coming around. I've been very proud of the way the defensive backs have played the last couple of games, and our defensive line looks good. So I just think that if they know what their assignment is and don't get rattled, and they can do fine. They can handle this offense.
Now a question about the university. I know you're a proud alum.
I am.
And sitting in the governor's office, observing this incredible growth that the University of Alabama is enjoying, both academically, athletically, in terms of new facilities. It's pretty amazing.
It really is. You know, I see this where we're sitting today. This was a student union building when I was a student here. And, to see how much the university has grown, I'm very proud of what's happening here at the University of Alabama. 36,000 students, and it's a tremendous asset not only to the city of Tuscaloosa, but also the state of Alabama. And I want to give a lot of credit to Dr. Witt. I think Dr. Witt has done a fantastic job, and Dr. Bonner has, but a lot of it was the vision of Dr. Witt. He's the one that really saw what we could have here at the University of Alabama.
You know, you've been a great supporter of our television station here at the University of Alabama, WVUA TV. We appreciate that. And I look over a couple WVUA alums, Rebecca Caldwell-Mason and Daniel Sparkman.
Yeah, they're working for me now.
They're working for you. You
That's
took them
right.
away from us, but worked out pretty well with those two.
Yeah, it really has. So I try to I try to get some good people working for me, and I can't do everything. If you have good people working for you, let them do their job, then the things work out well.
You know, when I got here, I knew Luke, your son, a lot better than I knew you before you were governor. He and I have had some serious football, baseball, and basketball chats over the years.
Well, Alabama sports is serious when it comes to Luke.
Yeah. Finally, today, a chance. I mean, I know you're busy. You're in the middle of a campaign, election coming up next month. But to get to come back home and attend a football game, that's always a special day for you.
Well, let me say this. I always sit in my own seats. I don't go to the president's box and sit because they want to talk politics and I want to watch a football game.
Right.
So I sit in my own seats and I watch the game because I've been seeing – let me tell you, I've seen every football game Alabama has played since 1971, either on television or in person.
So for those 3 hours, there's no politics allowed.
There's no politics.
Thank you, Governor. We appreciate it.
Thank you,
Governor Robert Bentley, state of Alabama, with us today. And more to come on CTKO. Next, we'll break down the Tide offense and hear from another famous Alabama fan in the world of NASCAR. Stick around. We got you covered.
Since Tide Kickoff, we literally go inside the head of Big Al. Who is the man behind the mask? There's no man. It's a pachyderm. That's right. It's coming up next on Crimson Tide Kickoff, so stick around.
Well, it's not only a big football weekend in Alabama, but the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series will race at Talladega on Sunday. We caught up with one big Alabama fan at the track on Friday, Fox Sports analyst Larry McReynolds, who gave us his NASCAR comparison to this year's team.
They're playing good football, but they make a lot of mistakes. I kind of referenced it like Kevin Harvick's number 4 team. Kevin's fast every week, but obviously they've made a lot of mistakes. Now, they didn't make any mistakes last week at Charlotte and got the win, but the ingredients is there, I think, in Tuscaloosa for these guys to be just as dominant as what they've been. I know they're a young football team.
championship. Welcome to Dover.
Kevin Harvick is one of only 12 drivers still in the chase. 4 more will be eliminated following tomorrow's Geico 500. Well, you see him at every single Alabama game day, both on campus and then in the stadium. He doesn't say a word, but his impact is undeniable. In this week's Milliseconds, B.J. Milliken gives us an inside look at the one, the only, Big Al.
All right, Katie, now one of the cool things that I've noticed, even walking around just for a few minutes with this guy, how cool is it to be noticed everywhere you go? Is that something that's just an extra perk of the job?
Yeah, I would call it a perk. He's kind of like a celebrity. It's a really cool experience that people want to be around you and take their picture and stuff.
Oh, he's number one. Big Al, are you kidding me? He's number one.
What is Big Al training school like?
We had to try out, and then we go to a camp over the summer, and it's pretty intense, but it's really fun. It's really enjoyable.
You learn some of the stuff like the belly shake and maybe things you can and can't do, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We learn all of his dance moves, his walk. We learn about things we can and can't do in suit. We can't talk.
Not really. All right, he's gonna. Oh, he's got me. I don't know. Is that like affection? Is that good?
It's giving you a bath.
Oh, a bath. Go. How rewarding is it though when you do see just kids light up at the presence of Big Al?
Oh, it's the greatest feeling in the world. It's just amazing knowing that you can bring a smile to someone's face. No matter what they're going through, you know that you brought happiness to someone. It's really awesome.
And it's not just kids, right? Because I've been like a kid in a candy store myself with this guy. What's it like when you see the adults kind of getting into it as well?
Oh, it's literally everyone. It's just so rewarding knowing that you can make people smile. Literally everyone, no matter how old they are, kids and even elderly people.
And it's a part of Alabama game day tradition that if you didn't have Big Al, if you didn't have the band, it just wouldn't be the same type of game experience, would it?
Oh, no, of course not. Big Al is here for support, and he's a big component of Alabama football.
Thank you, BJ. Great stuff as always. The Alabama coaches certainly hoping their big elephants up front get the job done this afternoon against Texas A&M. Well, after some struggles continued against Arkansas a week ago, the Tide knows they'll have to stay on the field a little bit longer offensively to have an impact on not just the scoreboard, but keeping that potent Aggies offense off the field.
We just can't really have a lot of 3 and outs anymore. We got to finish our blocks down the field from a receiver standpoint and tight ends at the line of scrimmage, establish the line of scrimmage, and get a push up front. And we get that running game going and then open up the passing game also.
We're going to have to be able to run the ball better than we did last week to control, the line of scrimmage and control the ball on offense, because that's one way that they can't go fast on offense is when we have the ball.
And an interesting stat on Blake Sims. Look at the numbers before his shoulder injury against Florida and after. And, of course, he went on the road as well. But 72% completions before the injury, just 56% since. But also there has been a big step up in the competition of the defense with Ole Miss and Arkansas. And, again, also the fact that he had to go on the road, too. But maybe today at home he'll settle back down and have a big ball game for the Tide. We're rolling right along on CTKO. In a little bit, we'll check in on the Aggies side of things with Billy Liucci from TexasAgs.com. And next, he's an Alabama legend. Antonio Langham will join us to break down his time at the Capstone and talk about this team, specifically the defensive back play. What does he think of the secondary this season for Alabama? And don't forget, in just a bit, we'll check in with Chelsea, who's covering Hoops on the Quad, where we hope to be joined by a special guest. Stay with us. CTKO rolls on live from the University of Alabama right after this break.
Now, this week's Tailgaters of the Game, brought to you by Krispy Kreme Donuts.
Welcome back to Crimson Tide Kickoff. I'm Chelsea Barton out here on the quad with our tailgaters of the week. I'm with Heath from Northport, so he hasn't traveled too far. Heath, tell me about the bunch of people you have here with you today.
Man, these are some of the best friends a guy could have. We've been tailgating for 7 or 8 years now, and we just all get out here early, cook breakfast, and get the food ready for everybody else to come out here for lunchtime and get ready for the ball game.
Perfect. Well, I see you have one little cutie over here. Who is this?
This is Connor. Can you say Roll Tide?
We're working on it.
Almost. Well, he is mighty cute. It is my pleasure to present you guys with a dozen Krispy Kreme donuts for each month for an entire year, thanks to our sponsors at Krispy Kreme. So I hope that you guys enjoy those. Now let's head on over to the grill and see what you got cooking.
Let's go.
Now for the serious business part of this, the food. Heath, tell me what you got cooking over here today.
Well, we've pretty much got the works going on today. We've got I got a smoked meatloaf that we're working on. I've got ribs. And we've got chickens on there. Sausage will come on a little bit later, but y'all want to come see what we got?
Sure, let's get a peek.
On this side, we got about 3 slabs of ribs going on. That looks pretty good. You can't see the meatloaf pretty good, but that's what has people coming to our tailgate is the meatloaf. I think that's my specialty. And then on this side over here, got a couple of chickens going on. Yeah, we're excited about what we're going to have for lunch today.
Ooh, this looks mighty good. I think it deserves a Roll Tide.
Roll Tide! Woo! Beat A&M! Number 1! Yeah! Woo! Yeah! Roll Tide! Roll Tide!
Roll Tide, Gary. Back to you.
Thank you, Chelsea. Joining us now is an Alabama legend, former Crimson Tide All-American defensive back, and former NFL star Antonio Langham. Antonio, good to have you.
Good, thanks for having
me. All right,
me.
man, we're gonna get to this team, but first let's talk about back in the day. That 92 team, unbelievable, still revered around here. And the thing I remember, we're going to talk DB play, but you probably were as good at reading the quarterback's eyes and jumping a route as anybody I've ever seen. Took back to the Auburn game that year, turned that game around, and then, of course, the SEC championship game. Was that just a knack, or was that just through preparation and practice that you were so good at that?
Well, I think it's all the above. It's preparation during the week, it's film work, and there's a knack. As people have always said, a cornerback has to be a riverboat gambler at times. But also in the process of being a riverboat gambler, you have to study. You have to watch film. You have to practice this and practice. It's a matter of, see, the most important thing is technique.
Right.
If you can play technique, then you can get away with a lot of stuff out there when you're gambling. But when you don't play technique, you freelance and a lot of things go wrong. It's like learning how to box, but then once you get in a fight, you turn it into a street fight. You're gonna probably get knocked out.
It's calculated gambling.
Yes, yeah.
Being a member of a great team like you were, and then having seen some great teams around here the last few years, your thoughts on this particular Alabama team? In my opinion, they like a good team. They're growing, but I don't see that physical dominance that some other teams have had. Your thoughts on this team, and can they get to where they want to go?
The second part of the question, yes, they can get to where they're going. The first part of the question, here's the problem. We have a lot of kids that are playing, but they're young.
Mm-hmm.
True enough, they've been on the team and they've had a few years here, but some of them, this is really their first action of getting in the game and playing actual game situations,
Mm-hmm.
usually just in practice, but they haven't been in the games. So now you're actually getting into the fire, you're getting into the heart of the season, you're getting into where the game is speeded up. It's a lot different than what you're doing in practice, and they're not ready for it, and they're trying to get used to it, and they're trying to learn on the go. It's like basically like fire by baptism, you know what I'm saying? A baptism by fire. You thrown in there, and you just gotta play, but you learn in the game as you play. And some of them they're grasping it. Some of them it's taking a little longer to get to where they need to be. But what we have to learn to do now is we're gonna have to learn to be patient with them, because they're playing hard, but at the same time they're still trying to learn the game.
Let's talk DB play again, and specifically with this team. And I know the game has changed a lot just since you played. I mean, you played against the Fun and Gun with Florida, but that was all new. Now everybody spreads you out. 5 wide receivers in the game sometimes. This secondary's received some criticism. We know Nick Saban's as good as there is, but the biggest thing I hear is, whether you're trying to play off the man a little bit or playing press coverage, is when the ball's in the air, they don't seem to be able to get their head around, adjust to the throw, and make a play on the ball. Your thoughts?
Well, here's the problem. Most of the time, our guys are beat from the line of scrimmage.
Wow.
They get up in press technique, and a lot of times they don't use their hands up at the line of scrimmage. For instance, when I played, I wanted to win at the line of scrimmage. I didn't want to have to deal with all this down the field. So if I win right here at the line of scrimmage, everything is a timing route, and everything's a 1, 2, 3 read. If your quarterback look over there, his number 1 read is already shut down, he's going to look to 2 and 3. So I'm trying to win at the line of scrimmage, and a lot of times these kids are not using their hands. They're doing what you call just open up a gate and letting them run. Now you're in chase mode all day. And one thing corners are taught, if you are in chase mode, you don't look for the football, because there's one thing that's guaranteed. The quarterback has spotted it, and that football is in the air. That's why they're not looking for the ball a lot of times, because they're beat majority of the time.
So they need to get better at the line of scrimmage.
And the one thing I have a problem with, too, is when you're an athlete on this level, you have to pay attention to the game and see what they're doing to you.
Right.
And sometimes you have to make an adjustment in the game and not rely on the coaches. If you're getting hit with a back shoulder throw 3 times in a row, then common sense tells me as a corner, I'm too high on the receiver.
Right.
Now I either get even with him or play a little bit more low shoulder, then force him to have to throw that ball over the top. But if I'm too high, all quarterbacks are taught by offensive coordinators now, if he's high on the receiver, throw it to the back shoulder, because he'll never be able to make a play.
All right,
on
Antonio, we're short on time, but a couple more quick things. Of course, you had Copeland and Curry. A pass rush is a corner's best friend, isn't it?
Oh, man, a pass rush, you fall in love with a pass rush.
All right, Alabama can get better at that area. Finally, a lot of people may not remember this. You played for Nick Saban when you were defensive coordinator in Cleveland. What did you see from him then? Did you feel like he was going to be a great head coach one day?
After my rookie year, I would have went on TV in front of anybody and said, look, if you're looking for a head football coach in college, I know what the guy is. I came in, and this guy worked with me, and I got to tell people, I know he knows what he's doing. I won Defensive Rookie of the Year. I don't just come in and win Defensive Rookie of the Year, because the game is different from college to pro, and he taught me how to play that game on the college level. So
good stuff. Thank you, Antonio.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Well, more to come on CTKO, including Hoops on the Quad and our player spotlight on Landon Collins. But next, our own Jen Chapman talks with Billy Liucci of TexasAgs.com. He'll break down how the Aggies plan on leaving Bryant-Denny with a victory again today. We're live from the Walk of Champions. Stay with us. More Crimson Tide Kickoff is coming up. And we're back on CTKO, presented by Alpha Insurance. Remember this? Back in the summer, a construction worker who worked at the Kyle Field renovation in College Station hung an Alabama flag. He was subsequently fired. Well, that flag, no surprise, made its way to Ramajamas in Tuscaloosa, where it now has a permanent home, a much more friendly home, surrounded by Bama fans. How about that? And here's a live look at the happenings on the Quad and at Bryant-Denny Stadium today. It's not much happening at the stadium right now, but that will be changing in a few hours. That shot from our tower cam here at the University of Alabama. All right, let's check in now with the newest member of our WVUA sports team. Jen Chapman is standing by with a very special guest. Jen?
Well, thanks, Gary. We're waiting for Billy Liucci. I think he may have gotten lost in the tailgates. I mean, maybe that's becoming more important right now. But we have a pretty cool impromptu. We just ran into Blake Sims' mom, and she is very excited for the game. What has it been like for you to get to watch him play this year?
First of all, I like to give all honors to God. Without God, this wouldn't be possible. I am so extremely proud of my son. He has waited his turn for this day. He is an awesome kid. He is doing a fantastic job, and I just thank my God Almighty for these truly blessings that he has poured upon my son, and I am just so extremely proud of him, and I can't ask for anything more.
What goes through you when you're watching him play?
Jitters. I'm nervous. I'm hoping for the best. I'm praying all at the same time, turning up, and but at the end of the day, I know he's going to go out there. He's going to do his very best. He loves his football team. He's an awesome leader, and all around, he's just a great All-American athlete.
And what are your conversations like with him after both wins and losses?
I just let him know at the end of each game, you know, son, you done a fantastic job. Whether you win or lose, I am extremely proud of you. And I know that, you know, when the next games come or whatever, he's going to do, you know, his very best. You know, he's going to do his best. And Blake is just an awesome kid. He loves his team. He loves his coaches. He's a very respectful kid. And, you know, he gives honor to, like, breast cancer and just all kind of stuff. And anything you ask Blake to do, if anything he can help do to support his team, he's always there and very supportive.
Well, Mom, give us a prediction for today's game.
Roll Tide!
How did I know she would say that? And I got to say, the funniest thing when I met with her, I said, all right, I need some verification that you are Blake Sims' mother. And no, besides the jersey, she took off her sunglasses to show me this is what he looks like. So she proved it. It was very nice to meet you. Thanks for joining us on our show, and good luck today, and roll tide.
Roll Tide.
And now I've got to switch over to the dark side. Billy Liucci's going to join me. He found his way through the tailgates. What were you doing out there?
It was rough. I mean, this is a great tailgate scene already. So we were here 2 years ago, and I couldn't wait to get back, but still haven't figured out my way around. So there was a lot with the basketball tip-off thing going on. There's a lot of traffic.
All right, we'll let you get away with it. But let's get to some of the questions about Texas A&M. Just, you know, in the last 2 games, they've dropped them, but they came in here in 2012 with 2 losses and pulled out a win. What are they going to have to do offensively today to get it going?
I think the biggest thing for them that if you're an A&M fan that's got to concern you is, are they going to be able to block Alabama up front? If you really go back the last 2 weeks, Mississippi State, they had open receivers. It was drop passes. Ole Miss and Mississippi State, the common thread was they couldn't establish any kind of running game. Teams they're really paying no respect to A&M's running game right now, so it's making the throwing lanes more difficult for Kenny Hill, and on top of that, he's not getting time. So I really think if you're watching the game and you think that A&M, things are going the Aggies' way early, it'll be if they have just at least a little bit of success both running the football and in their little quick passing game, which is essentially their running game at times.
Well, you kind of lead a little bit into this next question. Johnny Manziel, such a polarizing figure on and off the field. How is this team different with Kenny Hill?
You know, when you're talking about just in the huddle, I think what they're missing right now is just that fire that it just really, you're talking about 2 years ago, and I'm on the sideline of that game, and before the game, people are telling Johnny good luck, and he's saying we don't need it. And then before their final touchdown drive, the game-winning drive, he tells me on the sideline, we're scoring a touchdown here. He said no more field goals, nothing, this is our day. And he goes out there in 2 plays and runs off and says, I told you. And there were a lot of people that actually witnessed that, so it's true. But I think they're lacking that confidence and that just, I don't like the word, I think it's overused, but that swagger and that belief when you come out that you're going to win the game.
All right, well, if you get any inside scoop on the sideline today, be sure to let us know. We'll love to put that in the newscast tonight. Yeah. So that's all we've got out here. Gary, going to send it back to you in an eventful interview scene out beside the stadium.
Good stuff, Jen. Great to have you with us, and great that not only getting some insight from Billy Liucci, but finding Blake Sims' mom. That's clutch right there. And you can find Billy at TexasAgs.com and get the latest on the Aggies. Well, more to come, including another classic soundbite from a certain coach in Baton Rouge. Take a guess. Also, a special look at Landon Collins. He's our player spotlight. He saved the day a week ago. How will he impact the defense the rest of the year? And right after the timeout, we're heading to Hoops on the Quad with Chelsea Barton. Stick around. More CTKO is coming up right after this break.
Welcome back to Crimson Tide Kickoff. We're live out here on the University of Alabama's quad, where what we call Hoops on the Quad is wrapping up. With me, I have Associate Coach John Brandon with the Alabama men's basketball team. Coach, kind of talk to us about Hoops on the Quad and some of the different contests we've seen out here today.
Well, I tell you what, first of all, it's just a great day to have it. We've been blessed with great weather, and just the fans of Alabama to come out here on a historic part of campus like the quad. It really came about a year ago. You know, some of our seniors, Levi Randolph and Redna Basahan, really wanted to do something for the fans and Coach Grant really wanted to be a part of it as well. So with Crimson Tide marketing and different things, we decided to bring it here to the fans on a great day and a big game with the Texas A&M. And it's been great. Our guys have had fun. The women's basketball team's also been a part of it. And I think it's been great for the fan base of Alabama.
Perfect. And essentially the fans are here today to watch the football game. But what does it mean to you guys that they're here supporting your teams as well?
Well, it means everything. You know, we tell our guys know, and we talk about it. You know, we have the greatest fans in the country, not just in the SEC. And I think it's proof positive today with all the people that came out. Plus, it gives them an opportunity to know the basketball season's around the corner. You know, we've started the beginning of our practices right now, and it's really our tip-off, if you will, to our season. And hopefully, we'll finish off today with a big win over Texas A&M.
Perfect. Kind of talk to us a little bit about the team. How are they looking this year?
Great. We've been practicing now for about a week and a half, and our guys, we've been in preseason conditioning for well over 2 months, and the guys have been bringing it every day. I think the anticipation of the season's really hit them, you know, with it being just a few weeks away and the schedule that we put together. So the work's being put in, and we're looking forward to showing our fans and everybody in the country what Alabama basketball is about this year.
Perfect, Coach. Well, good luck this season. We really appreciate it, and thank you for your time. Gary, back to you guys.
Thank you, Chelsea. Great stuff. That looks like quite an event. Everybody's having a lot of fun. Well, moving back to football, he's the leader of the defense, and once again last week, he made a huge impact on the outcome of the game. Andrew Clare has more on this week's player spotlight. It's junior safety Landon Collins.
Look, it's a bird. It's a plane. No, wait, it's Landon Collins? The junior safety has been all over the field this year for the Tide defense, including making the game-saving interception against Arkansas last week.
It was, a spectacular moment of my life. I didn't even think it was a game changer. I was just stuck on. I dropped 2 interceptions already. I said, when I saw the ball in there, I said, I better come down with this one. That's the first thing on my mind.
The 6-foot, 222-pound New Orleans native leads the team in total tackles and interceptions. He and the rest of the Tide defense will need to be in the zone as they face a Texas A&M team who is second in the nation in passing offense.
The game plan is practicing each and every day. The Pacific offense and plays they ran formation-wise and being sound on our coverage. And definitely sticking to it and being on our P's and Q's and knowing what formation they're going to be in. And
Collins is a leader of the country's 3rd-ranked defense. He says the unit plays with a lot of energy and emotion.
When people make big plays, you want to see everybody rallying. You want to see the team jumping up and down and the player looking to the sideline, looking at the play, but also seeing the players like, yeah, you did that or whatever. And it's great.
The Alabama secondary is a close-knit group, and they call themselves the #NoFly Zone. For Crimson Tide Kickoff, I'm Andrew Clare.
Thank you, Andrew. Here are Landon's numbers. Having a solid junior season, as you would expect. He leads the Tide in tackles, in fact, and really a playmaker and a guy that shows you he can make a difference in the biggest moments of the big games. Well, more coming up on Crimson Tide Kickoff. A look around the SEC and what Nick Saban has to say about the retirement of SEC Commissioner Mike Slive. And we'll keep breaking down this game, what Alabama has to do on defense against that high-powered Texas A&M attack. CTKO rolls on live from Tuscaloosa right after another timeout. Little hoops on the quad as we go to break. He served the Southeastern Conference for 13 years, and earlier this week, Mike Slive announced he'll step down as the conference commissioner next July. Nick Saban was asked about the impact Slive has had on college football.
You know, what he's done for the SEC, what he's done for college football as a whole. The foresight that he has, the vision that he has, it's just been a fantastic impact. I don't know if anybody in college football has had a greater impact over the last, 10, 15 years than he has.
The commissioner certainly knows how to campaign for his teams, as Coach Saban said, and he's a good one. Look at this. This is really, I'm glad we got to take you out to Hoops on the Quad Live because it is a great event, a full basketball court, and right now the men's team is having a scrimmage. It is surrounded by fans, and just an awesome, awesome event. Basketball season, as you heard John Brandon tell our Chelsea Barton, is just right around the corner. All right, we're back here at our set, and Alabama football has had some trouble against Texas A&M. The good news for nervous Bama fans is Johnny Manziel is gone, but that certainly doesn't mean that the Aggies don't pose a big threat to the Tide defense, because they do. A week ago, it was a running attack that Alabama geared up for against Arkansas, and Alabama did a pretty good job against it. But now it's the spread attack. The players and Coach Saban talk about how different it will be this week in terms of preparation as compared to last week.
We've been doing a lot more fastball plays. I mean, like, of course, everybody knows they spread it out, so it's going to be a completely different game than we've had in the past games. And but I mean, everybody's responding to it well.
Their pace of play to simulate the speed in practice to get the look that you need is very difficult, you know, for the defensive players. And then the quality of skill players that they have that you have to play against with the speed of the game is something that the players really have to adapt to.
Well, when you look at the stat sheet, this Alabama defense doesn't look a lot different than the defenses of the past. You see at the top of the standings in total defense, scoring defense, and rushing defense. Passing defense, not too bad either, and third down efficiency, they're in the top half of the SEC. Well, not a lot of marquee games around the conference today, but a chance for one of the league's upstart teams to step into a tough environment and pull another upset. Mark Stoops and the Kentucky Wildcats are knocking on the door of the top 25, and they visit Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge tonight. A win would put the Cats in a great position in the SEC East. But as always, Les Miles kept things interesting this week at his press conference. He was asked what kind of game he wants this to be. Coach, take it away like only you can take it away.
Well, I can tell you this. My kind of game is any game where the Tigers win. So, you know, I'll take it sliced and diced and salad on the side. It doesn't make any difference to me.
And here are the other games in the conference today. Still no Todd Gurley for Georgia as they visit Arkansas in Little Rock. That could be a good one. Ole Miss gets a visit from Tennessee. Of course, Alabama heads to Knoxville next Saturday night. Missouri is at Florida. And there is that Kentucky showdown at LSU. If Kentucky wins, they become bowl eligible. What a year for Mark Stoops. Think how close they are to being undefeated. They really had Florida on the ropes and let them off the hook. Well, stay with us. Some final thoughts and a last look at the weather. And the always entertaining Scott on the Street. CTKO continues right after this timeout.
Welcome into Scott on the Street. It's Texas A&M week. First game post Johnny Manziel. First home game for the Crimson Tide. And about a month now, fans are anxious to get back into Bryant-Denny Stadium. We're here, of course, University of Alabama. We're going to find out what our fans think about the Aggies. Scott on the Street starts right now. We have Morgan and Morgan. It's A&M week, or A&M hate week as it's sometimes referred to. A&M has a lot of traditions. Midnight Yell, Giggum. What do you think about those?
They're irrelevant because nothing compares to Alabama football and traditions.
Well, first of all, I don't even know what a Giggum is. I don't know what it does, who it is, what it is. Roll Tide, we say Roll Tide. We tailgate all the time, and we win all the time. So, Giggum, Texas A&M, whatever.
2 years ago when we lost to them, I was like front row at that game, so it kind of bothers me a little bit. I'm not really used to hearing it, so I'm pretty ready for Saturday to kick some butt there.
We have a trivia question here for you, and I'll give you a couple of chances to get this. It is kind of a tough one. Alabama A&M has some connections way back in the day, but they still have some there. What former Alabama coach actually played at Texas A&M?
No, it's not Bear Bryant because
Gene, is it? Oh, I forget his name, honestly.
Gene Stallings.
Want to give me a hint?
He has a statue over at the Walk of Champions. That's the hint I'll give you.
Okay, all right. Stallings?
That's correct.
Yeah? All right, there you go.
All right, good stuff as always. Hey, Richard, let's send it over to you for a final check on the forecast from the Walk of Champions.
Hey, Gary, really nice weather for game day today. We're talking about temperatures in the 70s, lots of sunshine and low humidity, even a little nice north breeze make it feel even better in the stadium. Temperatures in the low 70s to wrap up things at Bryant-Denny Stadium. So good news for game day, Gary. We are looking good.
All right, thank you. Going to be a beautiful day, already is. And that's all the time we have for today's show. Thanks so much for joining us. Don't forget, to head to WVUATV.com for any of our interviews from Governor Bentley, Antonio Langham, and Billy Liucci. Those will be posted a little bit later on. And tonight on Sports Saturday, B.J. Milliken and Jen Chapman will have a full recap of the Tide and the Aggies, plus highlights from a full day of college football, including Stillman and Tuskegee. So tune in for that. For the entire CTKO crew, I'm Gary Harris. Thanks for watching. Enjoy your football Saturday, and roll Tide, everybody.